Most bankers aren't ready to help you until after their third cup of coffee. But with Central National Bank's after-hours service, you don't have to wait for the bank lobby to open to get help. You can contact us from 6 to 8:30 in the morning or from 5 to 10 in the evening, and we'll connect you to a real, live, local person who can answer questions and fix problems 7 days a week. Bank different. Bank Central. Central National Bank. Member FDIC.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Boobies.
Hi.
Hello, and welcome to
Boobies.
Boobies. That's right, we're your hosts. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Joshua.
And today we're here to talk to you about
More zombies?
more zombies and a resident
Ooh.
of evil.
Ooh. Good one. Yours is way better. Yes. A Resident of Evil. And what is that movie that we are talking about? Resident Evil, of course, you guys. Directed and written by Mr. Paul. Was it Paul? W.S. Paul?
W.S. Anderson.
There we go. W.S. Paul Anderson. That's a lot of name there. That's a lot of initial.
I
Yeah.
wonder how long W and S had to have been for them to shorten them.
Right? Or
You
it's
know?
just W and it's just S. Could be.
Possibly.
I don't know. I'm not looking it up because this man made a movie.
He did. He made
did.
this movie.
This movie
And-
starring Milla Jovovich.
Yes, thank you for saying her last name because I was not gonna do it right. We got Michelle Rodriguez,
Yes.
Eric
She's known for all of
Mabius.
her Fast and the Furious movies.
Oh, I knew I
Mhm.
recognized her from something, but I think
Yeah.
I've only seen like the first Fast and the Furious and maybe
I've
the fourth
I've literally not seen any of them.
randomly.
I've not seen any of them, but I know that she's
Yeah.
from those movies. And like a few other things, but that's like her main thing. It's like Vin
Yeah.
Diesel, like at this point, he's like synonymous with like Fast and Furious, even though he was in The Pacifier. Great movie.
I only associate him with Triple X.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's old, right? Like
That is
early
an old
2000s?
movie, yeah.
Is it Triple X or just X? That was
It's
the movie with the 3 X's, right?
Yeah.
But it didn't have triple in the name.
Yeah, but I think it's called Triple X.
Triple X, right? Oh, no, see, I was always confused by that. I never knew. And I've never seen it.
I think it's XXX.
Yeah. The red X's. I remember because I think
The
my parents had
logo.
it like on VHS. Yeah. Like I
Yeah.
remember how it looked. Yeah.
We had that movie too, or it would just be on a lot. I just remember watching it at a young age, and there's a pretty
It's rated R probably, isn't it?
intense sex scene, and I'm like, I should not have been watching this as a young child.
Yeah. I can imagine. I feel like a lot of horror movies.
There's so many things I shouldn't have
Right.
watched as
Yeah,
a young
right. But especially with the horror movies too, though, because it's like a lot of the time there's at least a little bit of some risqueness in there, a sex scene maybe, or not
Yeah.
necessarily a sex scene, but they can get a little lewd.
Have
Came
some
out in
boobies.
especially this came out in 2002.
Yes.
And yeah, it's based off of a video game called Resident Evil, of course. And
Have you ever played the video game?
I've actually never played the video game before. I've played like other video games that are kind of like, the House of Dead. I guess that's it. But
Yeah, I played a lot of Silent Hill growing up, and
Okay.
that was my kind of zombie.
but they're not zombies per se,
Yeah,
are they?
they're like creatures.
Demons. I always thought they were more like
Demon-y
no, yeah,
creature
monsters.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're monsters, but you still had to kill, and they walk like zombies. Like the
Mhm.
nurses in Silent Hill are
Mhm.
definitely like
Zombie
They're
like.
really scary when they come at you. And then there's Pyramid Head, and well, Pyramid Head will fuck you right
That's
up.
just terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the
I watched
final.
the I watched the movie, but I never played the game. So I didn't know that it was even based on a game, honestly, until like after the fact of watching it a few years later. And then I was
Oh
like, oh, that
yeah,
makes sense because it looks like a game as well.
yeah.
At
Same
certain
with this
points.
one.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I ever actually played Resident Evil or not. Um,
Oh,
I
Resident
feel like
Evil.
I knew more about the storyline than what I think I did actually play Resident Evil,
Okay.
because I think I've only seen Resident Evil one time. And I knew more about like Raccoon City than I anticipated in Umbrella Corporation.
Yeah.
Um, and so I feel like I maybe did play the video game at least once.
To
Not
be
like I
familiar.
played it to completion, but
Yeah.
I played it at a friend's house or something.
I
All I
didn't
played was Super Monkey Ball. You ever play that?
I know what Super Monkey Ball is. Yes, I
Yeah,
remember
that
that.
game was the fucking best.
I
Zelda.
didn't
I played lots of Zelda.
we didn't have growing up real early, like back in the day, we had like a Nintendo 64, right? Or not even a 64. The one before that, the Super Nintendo. Not even Super Nintendo. It was the old one. The one where you had
Just
a
Nintendo.
the big cartridges and you're like or maybe it
Yeah,
was Super. I don't know. But we had one of those. And then for the longest time, like I even remember like begging, like I want a PS2, like I want a whatever, and then my like family never got me one. So I just never played video games because it wasn't afforded to me. And then when I would go to my cousin's house, they like to play Halo a lot, and like that's pretty much
oh,
it.
yeah.
And
We're not
Madden and like FIFA,
oh,
they were all about the sport games, and I'm
I
just
played
like,
a lot of Tony Hawk.
okay, I remember Tony Hawk. That was cool. And like,
Yeah, that
oh,
game was
like the
fun.
games where it's like race, not like dirt bike, motocross, X number
Oh,
9 or shit like
yeah.
that. But I can't say I never played these games. But
We never
did
had a Nintendo or anything like that, but I remember a friend having Nintendo and playing, like, Donkey Kong and stuff on that,
yeah,
and then we did get a PS1, but that was, like, only after the PS2 had been released and the PS1s were on sale,
gotcha, yeah.
and then eventually once the PS3 came out, I
And we
think
got the
we got a
PS2.
PS2, and
Was
then
it
we
the
could
big
still
chunky one or was it the skinny one?
it was the chunky one. It looked like a
Mhm.
DVD player, basically.
Yeah, I remember that
Yeah,
one. Yeah.
and, it thankfully played our PS1 discs as well, so we were able to
Oh,
keep
that's
playing
cool.
all of our old games and
Mhm.
stuff. But yeah, the my brothers were both big gamers. One of them still is. One of them still streams on Twitch all the time. So if y'all are bored and like Twitch, go look up Real Ghosty. That's his
Real
real,
ghosty?
real, like REA,
Real. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Real Ghosty.
Real ghosty. Cute.
Yep, that's his little Twitch handle name. So I'll tell him I give him a shout out. He
Shout
doesn't listen to
out.
it, but he does actually recommend our podcast to people. So if you're one of
That's
the people
awesome.
coming from Patrick, because he's like in a movie Twitch or what's that other one?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Discord group. He's in a movie Discord group and they watch movies together and sometimes they're horror movies. And
That's
he's always
cool.
says like, my sister has a horror movie podcast.
Aw.
Yeah.
Shout out. Thanks, Patrick.
Thanks, Patrick.
Um, and so yeah, let's dive in. Let's get it going. Um,
Yeah.
we start immediately with some diegesis, telling us, about the Umbrella Corp and giving us a little bit of backstory and information on
The
how
events
they
leading up to Raccoon City.
Raccoon City, yes, and how the Umbrella Corp is basically a household name. It's in every house. Basically, at this point, every household has some type of product or is affiliated in some way with using things from Umbrella Corp. And they've
Like Johnson and
got,
Johnson.
yeah, exactly. They've, what's the
They're
word?
in
Like,
healthcare, they're in
yeah.
all of, like, your machinery, and yeah, they're
And then what people
everywhere.
don't know is that a lot of their stuff has a military background and is being used by the military. and stuff like that. So there's a lot of shady stuff
Look, I
going
got a new
on with
tattoo.
Umbrella Corp. Oh, cute. Oh yeah, it definitely looks a lot more
A little
pigmented.
two-headed chicken.
It's cute. When
It's
did you
under
get
wrapping
that?
right now.
Oh, I see it now.
When?
When did you get that? Yeah.
Yesterday.
Oh, okay. I was like, you did not have that too long
No,
ago.
I got
That's
it. It's
cute.
still under its little nasty wrapper.
Oh, did it hurt? Where it's at?
Only whenever it got on, like the little tendons right here,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
like that
Yeah.
connect your hands. So
But
like
like
the
how
little
bad? Like 1 out of 10.
oh, like maybe like a 5.
Oh, okay.
Not bad. It was
I need to
definitely
get
bearable.
tatted up.
Do it.
I need yeah. Yeah. I don't know where to go.
Go to Austin
Okay. And
or come
so
up here.
someone put it in the comments. DM us if you were do tattoos. And so we are
Yeah.
yeah. Didn't we get a title card? Resident Evil.
Yep, and it feels the whole time, this whole, like, diegesis and everything that's happening feels very much like a video game.
Yeah.
It's like it
It's like the
looks
story
like
mode.
yeah, because it almost looks like it's on, like, a file tab, like, on a
Hmm.
manila folder,
Yeah.
like, on one of those, and
Like when you're
then it
loading and saving your thing onto the card slots kind of situation.
yeah, that's what it
I
looks like, and
yeah.
it's cool, and we've got some, like, cyberpunk music playing in the background, very 2002. You can tell with just their camera choice angles, the whole film. We've got a
Yeah.
lot of the, like, diagonal shots and stuff,
It's
and
very and that cyberpunk music where it's like
yeah,
and it's like the shots are very
exactly. It feels
cutting
like you need to
away
be,
very
like
fast. Either in like a
yeah,
rave or
definitely.
like running like with a package in the middle of a street with like 25 people chasing after you, like and you're like dodging, like like it's one of those.
You're on
Yeah.
the New York City streets, and you're going vroom, 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 vroom.
Hmm. Hmm.
On a little
Um,
bicycle. What was that
but
movie with
oh, I
Joseph
yeah, with
Gordon-Levitt?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Ah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, if you're listening to this, we love you.
We do,
Please,
and
please
we liked that movie,
come on our show.
but
I
not
mean on
enough to
us.
remember the name. Come
Oh.
on us.
Gosh, what is it? Taxi? No, it's not. I know it's not. Um, it's something to do with the bike, isn't it?
Yeah,
Anyway, we'll look it up.
I don't know. We'll look it up
But
later.
I really did enjoy this opening shot though of how it's like zooming in on the lab and like the work that they're doing with the vials in the lab. You
Yeah,
know what I'm talking about? I
yeah,
thought it
it
was
because it looked
creative.
like such a faraway thing, and then, yeah, coming up onto the little because we've got, like, a guy in a hazmat suit working on something, where you have to put your arms into things because it's so highly toxic.
Hmm.
Like, so you put your arm into the little things into the control box, and then you're like it's, like, extra protected, basically,
Yeah.
and it was cool, and it looked like little DNA strands almost.
Yeah, I really liked how the vials were like that. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I feel like everything should look like that, TBH. But we've got blue and green, which will be important later on as we get to
Yes.
learn that they have different
Qualities.
qualities, yes, that they possess. Oh, and the name is Premium Rush.
Premium Rush.
I would not have gotten to that
Yeah,
honestly
me neither.
because
I
that
was
was
thinking, like,
not.
package.
No, why was I gonna say that too? Literally. I've got a package. Uh,
Ding dong.
and so, and I can't tell you honestly what happened in that movie
Yeah,
other
me
than
neither.
he's
I
on a
just
bike
remember him being on a bike and zooming through the New York City streets.
and him having like some superpower where he would be able to like know like what route to
Oh,
take.
yeah.
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
like
the
Spidey senses
fastest
almost.
route.
Yeah. But he ends up gosh. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. After the lab and everything, we are taking the vials out. See someone is putting them into a case, like a really protected case, and then
Yeah,
they
it had, like, little levels on it, so that way I
yeah,
guess you would have to carry it an exact way to not disturb the contents. It was a really intense little briefcase.
yeah. I see that, and then he ends up throwing before leaving, or not. I don't know. We don't know who this person is. Could be a they, them, he, she. Don't know who they are. They throw a vial, and it ends up smacking onto the counter, and then exposing the air to whatever was in this vial. And then we see that it goes up and sucked into the AC ducts, and then kind of is now getting filtered into the whole entire building. Um,
Yes. And then we
yes,
get a
we.
shot of some dogs going hog wild because obviously doggies can smell stuff better than humans, so they are alert to the
Mhm.
fact that something bad just happened. Um,
And
and then very
then
quickly, the whole
yeah, go.
building just starts going wild as well. The water
Mhm.
systems start going off. The building is locking down.
It's
Like,
kind of like it's like a fire drill, but not a fire drill.
yeah. And everyone's getting locked in. Everyone's panicking
Yeah,
because the doors are not opening and they're just like, what is going on?
the
And
back
this
doors,
is
yeah,
where I
everything.
wrote already, I was like, these angles.
Yeah, 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 a
Because
lot of the
the
angles
angles throughout all these shots were very like,
unnecessary.
"Nah."
Yeah, and they were also not necessarily like. It's funny because it's like there's a problem, but at this point, so far, there's not a problem. You know what I mean? Like I also feel like they weren't reacting as if like the I guess they didn't know what was happening, so they were just as confused as we as on the screen were. But because pretty immediately, unfortunately, we have them, getting locked in the room. We have people who get locked on the elevator.
Yeah,
Um,
terrifying.
Terrifying because then of course right next to them we have an elevator just like I guess snapping, I don't know, and it ends up falling
Yeah,
all the way down. And you can just hear the people screaming.
plummeting. And they're
Um,
like, "What is that?" And then they hear the big explosion, and then they're like,
mhm. Oh
"Gulp."
God. And they're like, "Get us the fuck out of here."
Yeah.
And so that's whenever we then have halon being spewed out of the w- air system, a filtered system, and it's being
Yeah,
filled,
almost
spread
like
into the rooms
it's like
like
a
fire
water.
extinguishing. Yeah,
Yeah.
and of course,
What
and
what is Halon? Is that like a
Halo.
well-known drug?
Honestly, I want to say that it's just for
This movie?
the movie. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But
You said it with
I
such, like, confidence that I was like, "Oh, shit, should I know what this is?" I mean, I
Halon,
saw the name Halon, but I didn't think anything of it.
okay, no, no, no. I got you. So, halon is a fire extinguishing agent that contains bromine, fluorine, and one of two carbons. It is effective at extinguishing fires because it interrupts the chain of reactions that causes combustion, and it takes all of the oxygen out of the room.
Uh-oh,
So,
so they all suffocate and die.
literally, yeah, that's why then we saw that happen, and that, I like honestly, that's got to be one of the worst ways to fucking die because like you literally can't do
Yeah,
anything. Like you're just like, because once you can't breathe, like that is so painful. Like, have you ever not
yeah,
been able to breathe?
yeah.
Yeah, and it's terrifying.
I've had really bad panic attacks to the point where I ended up passing out, like, going unconscious
Yeah.
because, I was struggling to breathe so much.
Terrifying, honestly. And so yeah, we have them all falling to their doom, their demise, their dead. And then we're back with the people in the elevator and they're freaking out because they're like, well, we gotta get the heck out of here. And so they're trying to open the doors and they do end up opening them a little bit so they can see that the people are dead because of the halon. And so they're like, crap, we got to get out. And so this one lady tries to get out because she thinks there's just enough space for her to get out, but that was not enough space for her to get out.
No, the fact
No,
that her head,
couldn't even.
it was like a baby giving birth.
Yeah,
Like, not a
she was
baby giving
crowning.
birth, but yes, yes, she was like it was like she was giving it was like the
Birth to
elevator
a
was giving
baby.
birth. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. And
But
you found it.
whenever her head went through the elevator doors, they expanded, like, they pulled apart from one another, and I was like, "How in the world do you think your shoulders are gonna fit through that?"
Yeah. There was no way, honestly. And I mean, she finds that out a little too soon because, of course, when she tries to get out as well, they're gonna start like the brakes and everything's gonna start acting up or doing something, right?
Yeah,
So
because
poor
they
thing.
almost plummeted to their death, but the brake system thankfully caught on.
Uh huh.
And then, yeah, then of course,
And
as
it
soon
starts
as
to
she
go
has
up.
her head out, yeah, it goes down and it stops right before her head hits the floor and like decapitates her. But then it starts going up and it doesn't show us, but you can only imagine that her head gets
Shop deed.
chopped
So does that
right off.
mean
You've
that
been
she is?
cut off.
Does that mean though, for her, luckily, she was afforded the grace of not being turned into a zombie,
Yeah, because her spinal cord was severed.
already detached from her body? Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
So
She
she's
might just
dead.
be a little reanimated head.
That's true. But even if it's not attached to a spinal cord,
Yeah, maybe not.
yeah, yeah. I think she's that one. Honestly, I don't know. She's somewhere just like
She
maybe
could
she's
be
able to like sprout little like legs or something.
little legs, and then she's like a little baby running around with
Yeah.
the human head.
I just watched a video the other day of how a gecko, um, salamander or whatever, re regrows its little arms. It's so cool, and
Um,
we are literally
yeah,
like, and we think that we're like the top of like evolution. We fucking suck. We can't even regenerate.
yeah.
That's
Our legs
crazy.
gone is gone for good.
Yeah. But we end up cutting to from losing our head to waking up with Alice, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we wake up
Yes.
with Alice and we are in a shower thing, stone shower thing. And she is very confused and she seems like she obviously doesn't know where she is. Her memory's a little bit hazy. And Yeah, I mean, Shineki, she ends up getting to the bedroom and sees that there's a red dress that is on the bed, and that is iconic because I believe that obviously her character in the video game wears that red dress.
Yeah.
So I could tell that it was like, even though I've never played that game, and this is literally an assumption, but I was like, okay, like if I was a first time viewer, they really want me to know, like, okay, this is significant. Um, but yeah, I felt like that anyways. And then
Yeah.
today, all your dreams come true,
Today, all your
Caitlin.
dreams come true. Yeah, she finds a little note that's handwritten to her, and then she writes a note herself, I think, trying to figure out if she wrote that herself
Yes,
or
she was
what.
checking the handwriting.
Yeah, and her handwriting was totally different, so we can gather that it wasn't from her. Um, yeah, she checks out the window. We see that it's like dusk time too, or no, it wasn't early morning because later on she goes outside and it's like completely dark.
Yeah,
So
I
it was
couldn't tell you.
dusk. But yeah, she starts going through the house, looking through different drawers. She finds like a drawer of weapons, and that kind of
Yeah,
startles her. Um, and it's clear that she doesn't like you said earlier, she's confused. She doesn't seem to really remember who she is.
yeah.
Um,
Which she
we
does a
go
good
out.
job. I will say that just real quickly too that like I guess I never really pay attention to like how well an actor has to be to show us without really words that you're lost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's just kudos to her. Anyways, but yeah.
Yeah, no, she did a great job performing someone who was like they just have amnesia.
Yeah.
Um, and so she walks out into like this m- big
Field?
hall.
Or
I don't
oh
know.
yeah, but before she gets there. Yeah.
Yeah, and she sees a wedding photo of her, a picture of her, which she looked in a mirror, so she clearly remembers who like she is and like
Yeah.
remembers what she looks like. Um,
Mm.
but sees a wedding photo with her and another guy, and it gives us like a little flash of like this barely, almost like a double exposure kind of thing, where you
Yeah.
get these like little flash of like champagne glasses clinking and
Like the
people kind of
sounds.
celebrating, yeah.
Hmm.
And so you get just that little blip, and you can tell that it's like it's jogging her memory
Hmm. And
a
while
bit, but
she's
not a lot.
while she's moving through this kind of areas of the mansion as well, we should highlight that we are it's like shown to us that she is being watched through cameras that are placed throughout the house. And like a little red light comes on and everything. So we know that she's being surveillance. She knows that she is. So it's kind of like what's she and so she's trying to figure that out.
Yeah,
And then
and
does
this
she
movie relies heavily on the security footage, like
oh yeah.
the security camera point of view
And
footage a lot too.
what you call it, like Predator, heat signature infrared. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking
the
about.
infrared, yeah, heat. Yeah, I think you said it right.
You said exactly what I said.
Yeah, because I think it is
But it's a
infrared,
he.
like,
It's
heat
what's a
signature.
what is it? A ray, a gun, a screen? No, there's a word. There's like a graph. The heat index, heat signature index. I don't know, but
Yeah, something like that.
she decides to step outside, and that's whenever we have her looking outside, and we have all these fucking birds out there, and she says like, does she say hello or something like that?
Yeah,
Or
'cause she steps outside and she's like, "Hello?" or something, and then all the birds are like, "Quack, quack, 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 quack."
yeah. It was almost like a weird cut to me too. Did you notice that whenever the bird like she like walks out or whatever, and then it's like all of a sudden it's just like birds like and like a noise. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I think it was meant to startle.
Okay. And then and then all of a sudden we have the wind like blowing her back inside, which I thought was weird. But also gave video game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she's
Yeah.
pulled inside uh as that wind is blowing her in by some dude, and he's like, come with me, hurry up. And she gets taken in, but pretty fast they end up being attacked. I don't want to say attacked, but like, surprised by a group of uh, workers, mercenaries, I don't know, soldiers.
Yeah,
They're soldiers,
soldiers,
right? Yeah.
because later on, he's like, "Tell me your report, soldier, tell me your report."
Alice, yes.
Yeah.
And then we get to figure out that that dude, Matt, I believe his name, is a cop.
Yeah, I
But
called him
he,
Cop the whole movie because I didn't get his
same
name until she's yelling, "Matt!
later
Matt!"
on. Yeah.
at the end of the movie. That
I
was the first time I called him Cop. One of my notes was like, "Cop is not a cop," 'cause, I wasn't sure whenever I was trying to figure out, like, what he was talking about, how, like, my ID would have flagged everyone.
oh yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
whenever he's telling her that Lisa was his sister, and so she's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
so you wanted to use your sister," and I was like, "Wait, is he not a cop or is he a cop?" I think he is a cop,
He's a cop, yes. But because he
but
was a cop, he couldn't go there because they'd be like, "Oh, he's a cop. He's snooping."
yeah,
Yeah.
it just confused
But
me for a sec, but and then my notes, because I was calling him cop, got very confusing.
Kappa, yeah, no, Cop Matt ends up getting being taken with her, and they are not detained, not arrested, but like, he is handcuffed at least and taken with him. She's going with them too because they need to leave. And we are like, okay, so I guess she's a soldier, even though we don't necessarily know anything, but this dude is calling her a soldier.
Yeah,
And we
and
find out
so
that because of the effects of whatever, some like defense or security systems, she's still feeling some effects, so she won't have memory for like some time. And so
yeah,
this is whenever we end up going to, it's funny because you know what, in my notes I literally have Matthew Addison. His name is Matthew Addison, but anyways, whatever. He
oh,
he's talking to Rain, and um she's like, blow me or whatever, and they're like, all right, we're gonna take y'all to the hive.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so they start heading down, this big glass, like, they go into this big glass doorway, and they are heading down these stairs and into a big, I almost said a big little, but a big train car. It looks like a subway train car that you'd see in like New York or something. And so they get on this train car and they're trying to go, but they find that there's no power. So Rain is like, I gotcha. And she goes down there to fix the power. And
We
while
got
she's down there, we hear something from the like grate beneath the train
yeah.
that you can like tell that there's something
Zombies.
there.
Just kidding.
Yeah, zombies
Uh,
automatically.
yeah,
But
and she's like kind of like, oh, like she's kind of looking and leaning in more to the sound, but at that same time, JD, I believe is his name. He ends
JD
up,
is one of them. I couldn't remember who it was that popped his head down though, but yeah,
or
probably JD.
maybe it wasn't JD, it could have been Kaplan, but one of those ends up popping down
JD
there
was closest with her, so I think it
it's
probably
probably
was
him,
JD.
and spooks her. Spooked
Yeah,
me, honestly.
spooked. Yeah, I was like, it was definitely a jump scare moment
Yeah.
when he pops his head and she's like, "You done yet?"
And she ends up getting it back on, and then that's whenever we get like this quick jump of um someone else on the train. Like, did he jump on? Because it happened so fast that I couldn't necessarily tell.
I think he was
Was it
on.
in the closet or something like that? Was it a
Yeah, I
closet?
think it was like a door on the train and like yeah, not on the outside of the train, I don't think.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe it was, but I don't know why he would have been on the outside of the train, unless he was trying to escape from the gases in the train and
Hmm.
was able to get outside before he passed out, but then if he was rendered unconscious, you'd think his body would go limp and he wouldn't be able to hold on to the side of the train. So, you don't really know.
Don't know, but we see that we
But
have another
somehow
person
he
on.
comes in. Yeah,
Yes.
and we see that it's her husband. I
Yes.
didn't remember that it was her husband, but thankfully it gives us a little flashback
It
showing
does.
that it was her husband and, they're both suffering from memory loss, we can gather,
Yeah,
and,
and she's like touching all over her ring, and that's whenever we get to see that on the ring it says "Property of Umbrella Corp,"
yeah, which is
which is pretty
pretty
funny.
sketch.
Yeah, and so they end up taking this train and arrive to their location, which is the hive. They're underneath the ground. We don't know that just kind of yet, but we're about to get explained that. Basically, her and Tim had a fake marriage. They were security people who were basically in charge of like being lookouts essentially at the mansion to take care of like the opening, I guess, access of the hive. And that's
So you
whenever
could
we
probably gather too in that moment that they're probably pretty skilled in combat if they were the 2 who were enlisted and entrusted to take over
to
that
protect
position.
like security guards essentially.
Yeah,
Really,
yeah.
really
You don't
high.
get that from
Yeah,
Alice quite yet because she seems so timid, but
mhm,
later on, she really shows her badassness.
I like that. She a baddie. And we learned that the hive houses over 500 scientists and like medical people and all kinds of workers. They all live underground because it's just easier for them to like work and do their stuff there because they do a lot of like scientific studies and trials and tests. It's all very classified. It's under Raccoon City, and they got there by that train. And yeah, it's just kind of like a real quick, like, dun, 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 dun. Here's what's going on. But we don't know why we are here yet, just necessarily. We're only getting explained what the place is.
Yeah.
And this is when we get more information of how, like, the nerve gas that was released in the house is why they can't remember anything. And yeah. And now we're oh, I guess now we're reaching the hive if we're not already in it. But yeah.
Yeah, we're reaching the hive now, and head honcho guy, that's what I called him. The
Head honcho?
yeah, I called him head honcho.
I like it.
Um,
Yeah.
but head honcho guy, the one in charge who was yelling at her in her face saying,
Give us a
"Tell me to
report.
report." Yeah, that guy. He starts sending men in one at a time. I believe he sends in JD first. Um, and even JD goes into the hive because they like get the doors open, and you can tell he hears something too.
Mhm.
And like it's almost like a whispering, but it's not
Mhm.
a actual whispering. But there's like something being carried on the wind, and it's I don't really get it because I don't think any of the monsters are freed yet.
Yeah,
So I'm
no, they're
like,
still in
how
there.
would they be hearing them? I
And
mean,
it's
I'm
and it
through
was
the
always
air
just like and it's
conditioning
always just
system.
well, and it's always just one person, right? You think like if it's something that's ominous and kind of coming like everybody would be like, "Huh?" Like, I don't know. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, maybe
Um,
it's just meant to be like a foreboding thing for the viewer to pick
it's
up
true.
on,
Yeah.
and not necessarily that the
The people who are
character
there are hearing
itself
in it.
was. Yeah. But he sends JD in. He goes in and he's like, "All clear." He puts on his little night vision goggles and stuff because it's pitch black in there, and then the lights slowly come on, and it illuminates on this little like window view of a city, and it's a room where we were earlier,
Mhm.
so we can gather that we're back by the elevators system and stuff,
Yeah.
that like that guy got his coffee spilled on him.
Yes. Which comes back later.
Yeah, it does.
And then that's whenever we have them I think is this where we get a mention of the Red Queen? We finally get a mention of the Red Queen and how
Yeah,
she knows that they're there.
it is, yeah, they're like, Red Queen is locked on to us, and then I think Alice asks, like, "Who's the Red Queen?"
Mhm.
And, they're like, "The Red Queen is the AI that controls the hive." So, basically, this supercomputer artificial intelligence thing that controls the hive, and we basically figured out that she killed everyone in the hive due to a potential leak
Mhm.
of
Like they
something.
yeah, they don't know what happened, but they do know she flipped out and that's why they're there. They're trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
And
to
so
shut her down.
they end up going oh yeah, this is when we find out that like we saw earlier because I don't know why, I guess the fire drill then the water was coming out that one of those like one the levels were starting to flood because the rooms were filling up with water and the doors were sealed so the water couldn't, get out the rooms. So the levels are flooded and so that's when they have to find a different route. And then we have like a lady who is dead who's kind of floating in the water. Um and do we get some more information here about something?
We do get a little flashback of
Ah,
her and Spencer, who is her husband. Sorry, we don't get
yeah.
his name until much later, but Spencer, who's her husband, um, doing it.
Yeah,
A
that's
little
right.
flashback of them having some sissy time.
Some
And
sassy time
so,
in the beds. Yes.
yeah, it was like, I wrote maybe their marriage wasn't so fake.
Yeah. And then right before they, um, I guess, come back all together and they decide on their next move, which is going to like the dining hall, I believe. We get a little bit, not a jump scare, but they're all passing by the dead lady who's in the water. And then she ends up, as they all leave, opening her eyes. So we see that they're already reanimating.
Yeah, they're
If
alive,
not, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and her hand slams onto the glass window.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, she's not only are her eyeballs opening, she's got use of her limbs.
Hmm. And so they end up making their way, and I like how we see um from like the what's the map perspective of how where they are in the building, and it's a huge place. So you can tell that like, man, this place is so huge
Yeah,
um that they have to go through. Um
all these
they're
levels and stuff.
yeah, and they're at the very bottom. So they end up getting to the dining hall, but the dining hall is not a dining hall because there's like all of these computer and like mode. I don't know what you would call it. Um,
Giant, I called them like,
what was that thing that people have modems for your computer? Is that what it is? Like the tower,
oh, yeah,
like a lot of towers, but like supersized
yeah,
with like
and what
cords
looked
and
like
plugs.
little cages and stuff
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah, it definitely doesn't look like a dining hall. That's for
No,
sure. They're
and
in
that's
dining hall B and
mhm.
they're searching for survivors. And then this is where we get our first look of one of the monster looking things
Oh
in
yeah,
the
because Alice
container.
is looking through.
Yeah, she's looking at it
Mhm,
and you can see that it's like breathing and stuff
mhm.
too, or it's having air pumped into it, one or the other, but it looks very much alive.
Very the creature in the tank with like all of the tubes to it.
Mm.
And yeah, they end up what's his what were you calling him?
Head honcho.
Head honcho comes up to her and he's like, "Hey, I thought I told you to stay close. Keep it tight." And
Keep
so
it
that's
tight.
whenever yeah, they end up oh lord. And so they end up oh, we get mentioned that Red Queen is making it difficult for them to get through um the areas because they need to make their way to essentially her brain. And
Yeah, her primary chambers.
yes, that's what it's called. And so um, we have Head Honcho ending up in a hallway that is very iconic. And we have hmm, them just explaining how um, this big old machine, well, not big old machine, but this big old thing that they have is going to kill the Red Queen. It's going to disable her. And they have to get to the other
Yeah,
side in her private chamber. But as these guys go into this hallway, the other soldiers, it trips something off. And so they get stopped and locked into that area, which I guess kudos to Head Honcho for staying with his people. But like, man, he really should have took that time to just slip through.
slipped through the door, yeah, before it
Yeah,
closed because
for real.
he was basically in the room,
Yeah,
uh,
he was, and
all
then
but
he stepped back because it started closing.
yeah,
Um,
and got
but
locked in that room with all of his followers, and, we at first, it seems like it might be okay, but then all of a
yeah,
sudden, we get this darkening of the room by her head honcho or by her primary chamber door, and we see that it's a laser, and
yeah,
this laser
and it's
starts coming up,
all like
and it
weapon activated. Um,
yeah,
and yeah, it's pretty
and
sad,
it is, yeah, because we lose like 4 people instantly.
but
Um,
also really cool.
yeah, it was
Honestly,
cool because the
this
first
is
time we saw it, they like most of them were able to duck, but one guy was falling back, and so we see that the tops of his fingers got severed, and then homegirl at the back
the
didn't
medic.
duck in time, and she's just standing there, and then all of a sudden you just see her little head slide right off her body.
Yep. Poor thing. And they're like, "We need a medic. We need a medic," and the medic is dead.
She
So
did.
um and Alice is freaking out and she's like, "Come on." And she's yelling at Kaplan to get them out to unlock the door, but he can't get it unlocked. And then,
Like,
you
what's
know,
screaming at Kaplan gonna do? I mean, I would have
yeah,
also been screaming in that moment, like, because she's watching all of them get murdered through
yeah.
the little glass panel in the door. But, like, Kaplan was probably like, "I can't fucking think with you guys yelling at me."
Well, he did definitely have that type of personality where under pressure he couldn't because even later when he's trying to put that code in and he can't get it
Into the
in.
door, yeah.
But honestly, worked out for him because we know what happened. But we have I had a brain fart. My bad. So they end up getting deadified because these laser ends up coming after one of them, and then I love how that other guy tried to jump, but then the laser just went up and followed
Up,
him.
yeah,
And
cut him right
then
in half.
for head honcho, of course, they saved the best for last because he thinks he might be able to dodge this one laser, but then it ends up turning into like basically like uh like a not a cheese grater, but like a grater, where it just like cut him into little cubes.
Yeah, like a little apple slicer,
Apple slicer, that's a good one, sure.
and it just like his head was the apple, and it pushed it down, and it cut it into like quarters.
Yup. And I love how
That's what
it
happened.
doesn't show you necessarily, but you see like the reflection of like his little body and pieces falling on
Yeah,
the
you
metal of
see
the
his
door.
silhouette
Hmm.
of him with his little, yeah, head sliding off.
And then we have then yeah, they're all dead. The door finally opens, and then that's whenever Kaplan is like, "All right, let's go. We got
Yeah,
to
he's like,
continue
"We
the
need to
mission
complete the mission."
immediately." And they're like, "Nah, we can't do that." And then he's like, "Okay, I guess I'm going to do this solo." So he goes in there, but then Alice
Right.
comes behind him.
Yeah, Alice follows him, and at this point, too, it's only Alice and Kaplan because Rain, JD, and Matt are all
Yeah.
back in the dining hall B.
Hmm.
Um, and then Spencer decides he's not going in there after seeing what just happened. So it's
He's waiting
only,
back.
yeah, it's only Kaplan and Alice that make it into the main quarters. And while they're in there, a little hologram pops up, and Kaplan's explaining that it's like this hologram that's designed after the head director's daughter, but it's supposed to be the physical, like, embodiment
Representation.
of
Hmm.
representation, yeah, of the Red Queen. And this hologram's going on about like, don't do that, don't do that, don't disable me. And Kaplan keeps saying, like, don't listen to her. She's just trying, she's gonna say anything she can to save herself, basically.
Hmm.
And then right before they turn off the system, her little head turns to them, and what does she say?
You're all going to die down here.
That's right.
Is that not what she said?
No, that's exactly what she says.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You're all going to die down here. And then
It's such
they
a, like, yeah, innocent sing-songy voice, and then, well, not,
I
her
like how
voice kinda changed a bit.
she had kind of like it sounded like she had an accent or something. I don't know.
Oh, like a little slight British.
Slightly. Yeah, not all the way, but a slight.
She lived in Britain for 2 years, then
Hmm.
moved back.
And they end up powering down the hive, and it shuts down for a little bit. And then we have the backup generators coming back on. And then
We have the
that's when we have
systems basically resetting and all the doors being opened.
start opening up. And what do we hear? The sweet sound of zombies.
Metal clanging,
Rawr.
and, Rod er, I wrote Rodriguez because I didn't get Rain's name for the first little bit of this.
Rain.
Um, yeah, but Rain goes to investigate because she
Yes.
hears this metal clanging sound, and straight up, like, right away, Rain gets bitten on the hand as soon as she finds this zombie.
Like no
It
fucking chill.
Yeah, it just turns around and it, like, bites her right on the hand, takes a good chunk out of her hand. Um, and then fucking JD comes up and he's shooting at her, but not in the head, he shoots at her legs, trying to, like, stop her, and it's like, dude, she's clearly, like, depraved, like,
Yeah.
something is wrong with her.
Not working,
Um
especially because he's giving her a lot of like, step back, like, don't listen to me, I'm gonna shoot. And she's only responding with, "Rawr, rawr, rawr, rawr,
Yeah, exactly, and
rawr."
so it's like, maybe something's not right here, but I guess he was not thinking clearly. So, he shoots her a few times, and then Rain's finally like, "Fuck this," and unloads probably way too much ammunition,
And she goes flying back.
wasting it, yeah, onto this zombie, and yet she ends up disappearing.
Yeah, because she didn't shoot her in the head.
She didn't shoot her in the head. Didn't sever that spinal cord connection or major brain trauma.
Yep.
And then
And at this
someone
point,
points out,
someone, Rain
I think it was
also,
Matt.
what?
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, I think Matt points out the blood coagulating thing.
Yes, he points out that the blood is coagulated, which is really weird because it shouldn't be able to do that until someone's dead. And
Yes.
then at this point, Matt, well, he's only no, he's pointing it out, and I think he would have pointed it out regardless. But he is pointing this out and making a move at the same time because Rain or JD, one of them, dropped the keys to his
Oh, yeah.
handcuffs, and they're right next to the blood. So he goes down and picks it up at the same time. And yes, that's whenever we
Mhm.
start to realize that, and they're all like, "Well, what the fuck?" And then that's when we see and hear all of the zombies start to come out.
Yep, they're
Oh,
getting
especially because one of them
swarmed.
has a fucking axe.
Yeah, we hear this like jink, jink.
Which is very what's that guy's head from Silent Hill?
Pyramid Head, Silent Hill.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got his big like
Oh, which one
machete
came
thing,
first?
axe
Silent Hill
thing.
or Resident Evil? We'd have to look that up.
The game,
Just out of curiosity.
game wise, yeah, I'm not
But
sure.
anyways, it's not too big a deal. We have them, yeah, they're finally showing up. I was like, yes, finally, zombies. Because at this point, we're about like an hour in, or almost like there's an hour left. So we're like, yeah, no, we're pretty much an hour into the movie at this point.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like 50 something minutes, but yeah.
There was like 50 something minutes left of the movie,
Mhm.
and it was an hour and 40-minute long movie. So yeah,
Basically.
because I had to pause the movie right around here to go run an errand.
Uh-huh.
And it was like, you have like 50 minutes left. And I was like, okay.
I had to pause the movie a couple times just to take like attention breaks. I don't know how to describe it. Like ADHD breaks.
Yeah. Focus
And
on
so
something else for a second.
for like 5 minutes and then come back to it. Yeah. It
Yeah, I
just
did that a
feels more
lot too.
it feels more satisfying that way. Or like less like draining, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so we have them just opening up gunfire on all of these zombies with no like they're just aiming at everything but the head.
Yeah.
And
And they're
essentially
shooting them, but
at a
they're
tank.
also shooting the tanks too.
And I love how Alice is like, guys, the tanks, and everybody's just still like
Yeah, because then the one tank catches on fire and explodes.
yeah, and knocks
And
everybody out.
the shooting that they're doing clearly isn't stopping them too. Like,
No.
these zombies just keep getting right back up and
I think
coming
even
for them
Alice at one
again.
point is like, why aren't they dying?
Yeah. And then Matt, because of that tank catching on fire, Matt catches on fire while he also
Yes.
like simultaneously has like dropped the keys almost into this grate,
When
and
he's
he's
trying to
like
get them from
trying to
behind
get
him.
them from behind him. Yeah. And because he like almost had himself undone, but then that explosion happened, knocking him flying, sending him flying. And then his leg catches on fire and he's like stomping this zombie's head at one point because he's like under a table or something,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, under
He's
a
like under a
table.
table,
It's
and
like
this zombie's like coming up the other end of the table, and he's just like kicking it in the head so hard. I was like, that's so satisfying to watch.
very like a restaurant style table, like a metal table. Cause I literally have that at Molly's at
Yeah.
the restaurant. And then like at this point too, because of the explosion, Alice had another flashback because of the explosion.
Mm.
And I think this is where she kind of saw that was it was this where she saw Liz or Kim? I forget.
Lisa.
Lisa. Yeah. It was just
Yes,
a
I do
brief, it
believe
was
this is where we hear this
a woman.
a woman. We don't see who it is yet.
Yeah. That's what it is. And so then, because she's talking to someone, but then
Saying, I can get you the virus, I can get you like the proof.
basically, yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's whenever they're trying to get the code in as well, but Kaplan can't get it in. So then JD finally like gets to the door and is like, oh, and then also Spence was being an asshole to Kaplan because Kaplan can't get it in. He's like, any day now, like this is be good. Like, can you do your job? And then
Yeah.
JD
Yeah,
gets it.
Spencer, I was like, bro, you're not helping. Poor
Yeah.
Kaplan.
And the whole time, honestly, too, Spencer was very like, I mean, we can find out later he's an asshole, but
Yeah.
uh, the whole time he was very much just like, I'm just walking through here, like I'm not lifting a finger.
Yeah,
Like,
he definitely
yeah,
was. He was like,
uh,
y'all know what you're doing. I don't. So I'm just going to hang along for the ride.
literally. And so they open the door, but unfortunately, JD gets surprised because there's nothing but zombies behind the door, and he is swallowed by the swarm.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Rain is
Little
trying to do
horde.
her best to like hold him, but she can't pull him out, and she's getting bitten up even more.
Yeah, all
Um,
on her forearms and stuff.
yeah,
And she can't get him out. And unfortunately, he just gets swallowed by that horde and is
eaten
just
alive essentially.
eaten. Yep.
Yeah, and
And then
the
at this
demons.
point, we have, yeah, the monsters breaking out.
Are you familiar? Do you know what this is? Do I refer to it as a zombie, a monster, a demon, a creature, an experiment, all of the
They
above?
are an experiment.
Okay, right?
Um,
Okay,
but I referred to them as the monsters the whole time in my notes because
okay,
that's what they are. They're experimental monsters.
got it.
And I must say that I wrote CGI is pretty mid.
It's not
Um,
even mid. It is really bad. It
it
is not.
reminded me of Scooby Doo, like the live action Scooby Doo.
The monsters on there.
Yeah, like the monsters
Honestly,
on the
yeah. I
whenever they go to Scrappy's Island,
I honestly, Spooky
Spooky
Island.
Island.
I honestly, I watched that like in January or February because it was the only thing that could bring me happiness at the moment. And
That's
I
fair. It's a
kid
good
you
movie.
not, I kid you not. Yeah, I did a deep dive. I watched both of them. I kid you not. Honestly, those are better than this.
Yeah.
They held up better than this because it is so bad. It
At
looks
least
fake
with
as.
Scooby Doo, they're meant to be kitschy.
Yeah, this is supposed to be scary, but it just looked fake as fuck. And the way it moved and like it just was not giving what I feel like it probably did give back in 2002. Um
Yeah, I really, really did try to take my little brain and put
back
it back
there.
in
Yeah.
2002 and think, was this good? But I don't know. I mean, it didn't age well. That's for
No.
sure. But it might have been top of the like state of the art at the time. Um, but yeah, CGI didn't didn't hold up well. And then we basically see that the group is now it's who is it? It's
Oh,
Kaplan
it's Kaplan, Rain, the
and
hubby,
Spencer
the hubby. I called him hubby for a little while. But yes, they're together. And then Alice
is
is supposed
wandering
to be
around
with
by
Matt.
herself.
But Matt left her, like the cop guy. I don't know what he's doing at this point. Oh well, we do
Yeah.
know, but they're separated. But yes, Alice ends up getting into the kennel. I don't know where the dogs were earlier,
Yeah, and I
and
was like, "Oop, there's gonna be some zombie doggies," and then sure
lo and
enough,
behold, there's a zombie
there was
dog.
a zombie dog. I One of my fun facts,
Yeah, say it
I might
now.
as well just go ahead and say it now. Um, the makeup department and crew had a hard time dealing with the dogs who kept licking the zombie makeup blood and meat off of themselves. So they put like real meat on the dogs and expected the dogs not to go hog wild.
That's great. That's dumb, but yeah, they must have been
Yeah,
really professional though to like
but
try to help themselves.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but I thought that was really cool that they put that it wasn't CGI, that they put these dogs in makeup and
There has to, yeah, yeah,
maybe
yeah.
a
Yeah.
little touch of CGI.
I was like, there was one that was missing some like I think a
Yeah,
jaw.
especially once she starts shooting at them one by one
Yeah.
and we get that one of the dog's head exploding, like just
Ah.
blowing off part of its face.
Poor
Yeah,
doggy.
poor
Yes.
doggy.
Yeah, I know. She just because one of them chases her into a room, Then she has to fight off this zombie. She gets a gun from the zombie. Then that dog crashes into the room through the window because he's just thirsty for her blood and body parts. And then that's whenever she gets on the other side. And yes, she faces like, I don't know, had to be like 8 of them. And she just, I
Yeah,
love
5 or 6, 8.
it unloads the rounds, and then for that last
Thankfully,
dog,
her body remembered how to fight,
yes, because
and,
for that last
like,
dog, she had to like roundhouse kick him
to the
essentially.
face. Yeah, by running off
Yeah,
the ceiling. She was doing some, like, parkour, like, doom, doom, doom,
she
like some
really
shit
was.
like cats would do, and
And
runs up
she's
on the wall and then turns around and roundhouse kicks that dog right to the face and kicks it through the window
and
or
she's
whatever.
surprised that she was able to do it as well. She's like,
Yeah,
"Whoa." And I'm like, "Okay, Alice is apparently a martial artist."
and
Um,
a hell of a good shot too, because she got
yeah.
all those dogs, like, she took them out each one by one, and she shot them in the head, which I mean, I don't think she put 2 and 2 together that you need to shoot them in the head here until the
Yeah,
Red Queen says it later,
later
but,
on.
she thankfully did shoot them in the head, successfully rendering them dead.
Deady dead, dead,
And
dead from the neck up, dead from the neck down.
yep, and then we see that Matt is out wandering too,
He's
and
sleeping.
he's making his way into the office, and he, um,
He's not making his way
finds
downtown.
no, he's not. I have to fight the urge to say that every time because you and I honestly say making their way so much.
A lot of times.
Yeah. So,
Um,
like, that's our new literally is
literally.
literally, we say making their way so much. But yeah, he's making his way down to the office and he's walking real fast to get there.
He's making a
And
lot of noise as well.
yeah, and faces do end up passing.
They do.
Um, but he gets in there, he finds Lisa's desk, and he's like, "Lisa," and you have to be like, "What are they doing?" Like, does he know Lisa, or why would he say her name like that?
Literally, I was like, okay, I guess he knows Lisa now with the question mark
Yeah,
in my notes. Yeah, because there's
yeah,
no other like I guess it's a good reveal slash I guess twist. Because at this point you're kind of like, now what the fuck do you got now? Why do you care about Lisa? Because Lisa was such a like and it really does like now it makes sense why her character was kind of like the voice for all the other characters earlier.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that way we would remember who Lisa was, and she
Yeah.
had a very striking appearance too, so I feel like it was easier to remember her.
True.
Um But yeah, so he's like, "Lisa," and then lo and behold, Lisa asking you shall receive, she comes up from behind him, and I wrote, "She must be like, 'What you doing in my desk, fool?'"
Yeah. And she looked kind of
Um,
normal-ish a little bit. Like she
yeah,
was
it
trying to
looked like she had
fight.
some humanity behind her eyes still
Yeah.
and was being like, "Help me."
But didn't work too long because then she starts to attack him and puts him on the desk. But thankfully, he is
Mm,
saved by Alice, who shoots her. Um,
Alice
and then I
or
love
hits her
how,
with a big chunk of glass.
oh, is that what it was? I thought she shot
Yeah,
her.
it was like a paperweight thing
Oh,
because
okay.
it had blood on the back of it when it was in her
Got it.
hand. But
Uh,
anyways,
takes her
um,
out.
yeah.
Doesn't apologize for killing his sister, even though she was already dead.
Yeah, because then later he's, like, over her body and she's like, "Who was she to you?" And he was like, "My sister."
And she's
And
just like,
then we also
well,
get the flashback at this moment too, and we see that Lisa was on the other end of the flashback,
yeah.
saying, "I can get you the virus thing."
'Cause Alice recognized her face.
Yeah,
And
so it jogs
then
some memories for her again.
this is when we get to find out, and he's explaining that essentially because like he's a cop, he wanted to try to expose Umbrella Corp, but the only way that he could get in was by sending her in to basically be a mole. And she was on the verge of uncovering, like, of course, what they were doing and with what was
With
going
the
on
T virus and
with the
stuff.
T virus, yes. But unfortunately, because he doesn't know quite yet that Alice was her contact, he doesn't know how things went astray from the plan, which we find out later. And she doesn't know at this point. And she obviously knows that she's the contact, but she's withholding the information from telling him at this point because she obviously doesn't
because
know,
she
like,
doesn't know the whole story yet.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And so then at this moment, I think they
They're all reunited.
reunite, and they are saying like, "Yo, we got to get out of here." The Alice is going to like each door saying like, "Well, what about this one?" And they're like, "No, they're all on that side too." And then she's like, "Okay, well, we got to figure out something because Rain's like the blast doors are going to close on us, and lock them in if we like lock us in if we don't get out within the next hour." Basically,
Yeah.
they have less than an hour to get out.
They're
Um,
screwed.
yes, exactly. And then so Alice basically turns into a badass here. She starts really coming into her own, and she's like, "No, wham bam, thank you, ma'am. We're gonna figure out what the fuck is happening. We're
Yeah.
going into the Red Queen's room. We're gonna put her back together real fast and figure out what the fuck is going on here."
She's essentially going to help us whether she likes it or not.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they get the Red Queen back up and running, and this is where we finally get the word, I believe, the T virus.
Yeah.
Maybe we did officially get it back
Well,
then.
Matt called it the T virus. Yeah.
Okay, he did. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we get a confirmation from the Red Queen saying that it is the T virus, and basically explains that it brings the dead back to life with the need to feed. Um and that it is almost impossible to kill this virus. Basically, one bite or one scratch and it's transmitted to you.
That's all it
And
takes.
it transforms, so it can be airborne, it can be via contact, it can be a liquid, it could be all
Yeah.
sorts of things.
So it
And
makes it
once
really
it starts,
impossible.
yeah, it's just you can't fucking stop it. So that's really cool news.
That's fucking terrifying, bro. Because I feel
Yeah,
like
it is.
that this fucking virus already exists somewhere in a lab and they're just holding it somewhere.
Sitting on it, yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like the T virus is what most people refer to, like, when you think of zombies, I feel like Resident Evil really, like,
Oh yeah.
came into their own and stuff.
I feel like they really laid it down and were like, what's the word? Like they're synonymous with zombies, right? When I think of
Yeah,
zombies, I think of
I think
Resident
of the T
Evil.
virus,
And I
yeah.
haven't even seen all these movies.
Yeah, exactly. And so you think of the T virus, it's kinda like Kleenex for tissues and stuff, like T viruses for zombies,
Oh, is
and
the T virus kind of like transphobic? I don't know if this aged well.
oh, maybe not.
And so, yeah, man, and Red Queen is just really like laying down all the facts. There's so many moments in this movie where it is very video game like, where it's like someone's reading off like the screen, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
it's like you've gone to the merchant and they're now telling you your quest.
literally, yes, very much that.
Oh no, Mike.
We got a little cameo by Mike there. That's cute.
Feedback.
And so they yeah, basically are telling her like, and they basically are telling her like, you're gonna help us or we're gonna fry you as well, because they hooked up the system to her or whatever in a way that like if she does not cooperate or tries to kill them, they are gonna shut her down completely. Um and then that's whenever we have them leaving that, going into where there's all these zombies and like this like what's, I don't know what kind of this whole, it's like, how would you describe it? It's not sewers, but looks like sewers in a
Oh,
way.
yeah, sorry, they call it the utility tunnels.
There we go. Thank you. I couldn't. Okay, so they're in the utility tunnels,
It's
and
kinda
they're
hard to
getting a,
say, I struggled on it too. I was like,
yeah,
"Utility."
utility tunnels, and they are getting attacked by all these zombies. And so that's whenever
Again.
they end up wanting to get on the pipes. They get on the pipes.
Yeah, and, let's just take a moment to appreciate that Alice, like, hops up on those pipes and then traps a zombie between her thighs and then breaks his fucking neck with her thighs. That
Yeah.
was so cool. And then my brain was like, oh, to be that zombie.
How to be trapped in between her thighs.
Yes.
Yes, there's a lot of moments that Alice is pretty badass in the way that she snaps people's necks,
Yeah.
zombies' necks. Yeah,
Rain too, because Rain one time, like earlier, I think right here in a second, actually, too, a zombie comes up on her and she like takes one hand and just like shoo,
just
its little
yeets them
head.
into non-existence.
Yeah, and snaps its neck in the process, which is really cool.
Um, and so they try to get up on the pipes, but unfortunately, Kaplan ends up getting bit. And I think again, Rain gets bit again. I don't know, but honestly,
Yeah, she gets bitten by JD. She gets bitten by JD because JD
that's
shows up and she
right.
hesitates to shoot him, and he bites her in the neck, and then she's like, "Well, fuck you too, JD," and shoots him.
Yeah. And,
But
and there's
Kaplan does get bit on his way up there. One bites his little leg, and so he's
yeah,
struggling.
poor guy. I kind of like Kaplan.
Yeah, me too.
And so that's whenever we have um them crossing the pipes. They're getting over, but of course we're seeing like all these zombies like pulling at the pipes and stuff, and um they're making the pipes like wear and tear, so they're almost wanting to fall.
Yeah, and the pipes unfortunately do end up giving, and the pipes breaks, and then Kaplan gets swarmed. And at this point, I wrote and gets eaten alive, but
I thought so
JK,
too.
yeah, he makes it out. I was like, oh, I had to go back and like rewrite my notes and saying like, JK, never mind, he's alive. Um, Kaplan gets out, but it's on the wrong side. And it's like, well, fuck.
Yeah. And he's basically telling them like, you know what, guys, and he gets his little gun ready because he's gonna try to kill himself, I guess, but unalive himself. And we have him telling them like, just leave, go without me. And then Alice is like, we're not gonna leave you. And then he's like, just go. And I love how they're just kind of like, uh, yeah,
I'm just
okay,
still standing there.
well, it's very much like Alice's face is like, well, I guess I can't say anything to that. I
I
guess
guess
yeah, we'll just go.
guess we might
Yeah.
as well go. Yeah.
And so they go, and he makes it seem like he's gonna shoot himself, and we hear the gun go off, but he does not end up killing himself, which I'm happy he doesn't.
Yeah,
Unaliving
thankfully,
himself,
I
yeah.
think he pulls the trigger, but it was thankfully a blank chamber in that moment because he poured out all of his chambers and was like, "Oh, how lucky." And then because he kind of pulls the trigger and it clicks, but nothing happens. And then we hear the gun go off from Alice's perspective. And
Mhm.
then you're like, oh, damn. But then it shows him getting up the pipe, and you're like, oh, I guess he used it on that zombie.
Yeah, because it's like, you're gonna
So,
have to work for this meal.
yeah, exactly. And so thankfully, yeah, it wasn't on himself. And then we get a big monster coming.
Yes, demon zombie monster.
Yep. And then they're making their way into into a kind of area through the labs. The
Mhm.
rest of the team who's not with Kaplan, and Alice's memory is jogging a bit.
Oh,
She's
yeah,
looking through the glass and she's like, blue for the virus, green for the antivirus.
she remembers that there's a cure.
Yep. And she's like, wow, I can do it. And then at this point, she also admits that she was Lisa's contact and is like, yeah, because they make it to another room now and they're in a different room. And Alice's memory starts jogging a whole bunch, and she's like starting to remember who Spencer is, and then Spencer's memory unfortunately also jogs in this moment. And uh let's see. We find out that husband, basically Spencer, is the bad guy and he's who let it out. We get the little scene of him. Are you talking?
No, sorry. I was trying to fix my
Okay.
earphones.
I was like, oh no, I lost your audio.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. No, you're good. Yes,
Okay.
sorry. My headphones had died on the other one, so I had to switch them out real quick. Um, so where did you just leave off? Sorry.
Basically that Spencer's the bad guy.
Spencer's so
And
bad. He
he's
fucked
very
like
bad.
what the fuck? Like what is his problem? Because like
Why would he release that virus?
at the end of the day, yeah, no matter because we also like I need that prequel, I need that sequel because why the fuck did he think that was a good idea?
Yeah, for real. Sorry, I was
And
crying.
then was he not aware of what it could do? Because why was he like if I was down there and I knew that I had like I'd be I'd be like, nah, we gotta get the fuck out of here. Like, we gotta get
Yeah.
out now. Like, y'all are dilly dallying. We need to get faster.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I guess he finally, because he does seem to come to at this moment, and
And
then he
remember,
is like, we got to get out. Yeah.
I guess you know what? That's my bad. Yeah, that's true. I guess that explains is that he obviously did not remember because of the nerve gas.
Yeah.
But still, like
Why
I
would
gotta
you do
admit
that to begin with?
to the world. Yeah, he must have hated like he must have been a really sad person. Like really
Yeah.
like yeah. That's crazy. And also out of spite, you think? Cuz like he was he found all this out because obviously he was spying on on Alice, right? And then he's like, okay,
Yeah.
but like you think maybe he'd just rat her out to the company, not like then go and basically do what she was gonna do? Like he basically just was like, ha, I beat you.
Yeah.
Like, like I don't know. That's so weird. But yeah, he is
He
evil.
was. And unfortunately, in this moment, Spencer and Alice are looking at a gun, and Spencer gets to it quicker than she does and uses
Spencer's got
that
a gun.
gun. Spencer's got a gun.
It sounds like is that a
Um,
song? Isn't that a
it's
thing?
Janie's got a gun, but
JD's got
yeah.
a gun. Okay.
Or is it Janie, or is that from
It just
I
sounds
think
funny. It
I
just sounds
think
funny.
I think Janie's got a gun is from,
It's like a funny movie, isn't it not?
yeah,
The scary movie or
yeah, it's like Scary Movie, but for not another teen movie.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyways, okay. I don't know why it's making me cackle so much. Just Spencer's got a gun. I don't know. It just sounds
Spencer's
so
got
funny.
a gun.
Spencer's got a gun. Oh no. What's it gonna do? Oh god.
He's
Uh
gonna shoot them all.
gonna release the T virus. Oh no.
Yeah,
Transphobic,
he
my
already
bad.
did that.
And so he ends up basically screwing them all over because he gets that gun and then is like going on his whole, villain monologue, but
Mm.
he ends up the getting attacked by a zombie who is in
Yeah,
the
because he
water, the same one from
escapes.
earlier. And
Oh
then
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
one.
But then like and it's so funny because like all of this commotion happens, right? But they yet still can't get the gun away from him, and then he still ends up being able to like lock them in there and walk away.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and then
But he gets his comeuppance soon.
he sure does. He gets all of his cum in him. I mean, comeuppance.
Come in him.
And that's whenever we have the Red Queen coming back online
And
because
she
she's
says, I've
like,
been a bad, bad girl.
yeah,
That's
naughty,
exactly what
very
she says.
naughty,
And
naughty
it's like,
AI. Also, isn't she like 5?
5, yeah.
Ew, it. And so then that's whenever she says that, and they're like, "Why? What's up, Alice? We thought you were dead." And then that's whenever she goes on to telling them that she released the demon thing. Oh yeah, because they're like, "Oh man, he got away," and she's like, "Not for long."
Not for long. And then she shows him the demon just eating Spencer. And then it turns its little head around. It reminds me of Venom, like a lot,
I agree with the tongue.
with the tongue, yeah, and its head shape.
It looks
Um,
well. If we're gonna go on that route, it looks more like Carnage,
yeah,
which is the red one. But yeah, yeah, yeah.
but it turns around and it has this little tongue and it's like
I did Venom for a school project and art
Really?
class in the 11th grade.
Nice.
I drew him. It came out pretty good, honestly. I wish I kept it. Um,
Oh, do you have any
but
pictures of it?
no,
Mm-mm. I
it's
did the
not long
Nightmare
ago.
Before Christmas for a school art project,
I had a lot of
but
art
I do
projects that
have all my pictures of it.
I wish I kept. I at one point got rid of them during a move. I guess I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think
As
I have any of the original illustrations anymore, but I do
oh, just
have
pictures.
pictures of all of them.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep, because at one point I thought I was an artist
You
and
are an
I uploaded
artist.
all of them to Facebook.
Shutterstock.
I have a whole like 90 picture full album on Facebook called Artwork. It's a private album now. I made
Hmm.
it private.
I've been thinking of deleting my Facebook altogether
Yeah, me
because
too. It's
there's
cringy. There's nothing good
it's
happening there.
nothing good. Like every other day when I get reminded of what a status was in like 2011 or 10 or like 12, and I'm like, what the hell was wrong with me?
Oh,
Like,
no, yeah, there's some of mine that are really bad and it
not.
shows, like, before I like, when I went to a very backwards church and
Oh,
stuff too,
yeah. No, yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
some of mine
Mine
are
are
really
just like mine aren't necessarily well, yeah. I mean, mine are just like just why was I posting this on Facebook? Just mine mine is very like raw XT times like 25. Like just like stupid ass posts. Like
yeah,
just
I've got a lot of
dumbass.
that too.
I don't think I ever was saying like I hate like, gay people or anything like that, like you.
I never
But
said
I'm just
that
kidding.
I hated gay people.
I'm just kidding. You heard it here first, folks. Just kidding. No, yeah, but I just also the pictures too, because there's so many pictures on there from when I was like emaciated and like 16 and 15 and like not attractive. Just no
Yeah,
bueno. But then like people are gonna be like when like if I ever do get on Survivor, they're gonna be like, why does he have no like history whatsoever? That's even weirder. I don't know. It's like
yeah, and
you
then they're
can't
gonna think
win.
you murdered someone.
Exactly. Or yeah. But I guess that's better. Um and so I don't know. Yeah, that is better. And so then we end up seeing that
Spencer gets
th-
eaten by the
s-
monster, and
and
then
then
Red
she
Queen
wants them
comes
to
back on.
and she wants
Yeah,
them to
and
kill
Rain.
Rain. Yes,
Yeah, and the
because
queen says that now after that monster has eaten fresh DNA, it's basically going to mutate into an even stronger and faster individual
yeah,
that's more primed for hunting.
which
Arr.
which I guess is not good for them or anybody. And yeah, that's whenever we have her telling them all about killing that thing, and she won't give them the code unless they kill Rain. But then finally, they just end up
And then
frying
I'm
her
like,
because
why does the AI even need her life anyways? Like, what the fuck is the point of that? She's like, in order to give you the code, I require a life. And it's
well,
like,
because she doesn't
why?
want the virus to spread further. But at this point,
Oh, because
there's
she's
so
infected. Okay.
yeah, she's infected. Yeah, and she is telling them like, she's infected, so y'all got to kill her.
Yeah, and
But
then Alice in that moment is like, "But there's an antivirus," and she's like, "It's not 100% guarantee."
yeah, she's like, and especially for how long, like it's
Been
especially
in
for
her
how
blood
long
system.
exactly someone gets it, it might not be effective, and so Allison ends up killing the computer screen, and we think like, oh wait, that's what really killed the Red Queen. But no, Kaplan ends up opening the door, and he's like, I had to fry her because she wasn't opening the door. Um,
Yep,
and that's whenever they end up making it back to the train. At
and the
this
monster
point,
found them too, which was pretty scary, and they just barely escape before the monster gets them.
oh, that's
The
right, when they're in
evolved
that room.
monster.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Being in that room, and then
but
yes, they
Kaplan
barely
lived,
escape.
yay. Um,
Yeah,
and then they get back to the train car, and Alice is like, "I'm gonna get that, antivirus." And she walks over, and of course, Spencer is not quite dead.
no.
Sorry, that reminded me of Spam a lot. And then, "Oh, you're not yet dead?" That's what the fellow said.
I've never seen that, but it sounds
It's
very
from Monty
scammy.
Python.
And that's whenever we have her, and I'm thinking like, why is she's taking too long to kill him? But yeah, she ends up putting an axe in the spinal cord / head of her ex-husband, and then is able to board the train. And that's whenever they end up injecting Rain with the antidote and Kaplan. But
But it doesn't even help.
no,
Spoiler
it
alert.
doesn't. Oh, and then also because she's about to kill Rain, but then Rain grabs a gun and is like, "I'm not fucking dead yet." And then she's like,
Yeah.
"Give me that." And I would be like, you know what? No,
I'm gonna hold on to this for you.
I still hold
Actually,
on to it. We're not
use
in
a
the
little
clear.
baby. You don't get a gun no more.
And that's whenever we have the freaking monster popping back up and slicing the crap out of the side of the train, which ends up slicing cop Matt guy.
Yeah, Matt's arm.
Yeah, and then unfortunately, because after everything he had to go through, and honestly, coming in clutch and saving them, fucking Kaplan gets yeeted off by the monster. I was so
Yeah,
sad.
the
I was
monster
so
takes
upset.
Kaplan. I was like, no.
I was like, not Kaplan. I was honestly like, you know what? Take fucking
Everyone else
Rain.
can die.
Rain can be a
Yeah.
zombie. At this point, I don't care, but not Kaplan. He was a baby.
Kaplan, yeah, and he did
He was
all
just
the right things.
he was literally just doing his job. Literally
I
till the
did
end.
all the
Like
right things at
literally
exactly
all
the
the way to
right
the end.
time.
He was the
Said
one
I'm
person that
nothing
like when
to
everybody died was just like, all right, let's go. Let's
Yeah.
go. He literally saw his boss get like and then is like, let's fucking go. But anyways.
Yeah, he was like, "Let's do this shit." Yeah, he was badass, and Monster
And
takes him, and then you know what, guys? It's the final boss.
It's the final countdown. And what's a boss without a little mini boss helper bitch? Because Rain becomes a zombie and the worst
Yep.
time possible.
I know. I put
Obvi-
in a fucking course. Rain is a zombie now. Come on.
Yeah. Because they're getting attacked by the monster. And honestly, monster's kind of whipping like kind of getting one up on Alice because he's got her on the thing on the grate and he's got his tongue wrapped around her leg.
Yeah.
And that's whenever we have Matt getting the great idea of, and also, why are there all these pipes just like hanging in the middle of a train? Okay, cool. They get all these pipes that are just hanging there and end up pushing it onto the monster. So it kind of goes back a bit and onto that area that we saw earlier that opens up onto the bottom of the rails. And she's like, open the doors. And that's whenever we get a cool shot of Matt then having to shoot Rain, and then when he shoots her in the head, she just goes back and ends up hitting the door button, and the door's open, and the monster goes into the train tracks, and then it's like
below.
catching on fire.
Yeah, it catches fire, and the little monster goes up in flames, and basically the only Matt and Alice survive is what we're seeing as of right now.
Only Matt and Alice survived. Yay, Matt and Alice. Are
Yay.
they a couple now? Do they get to be
Malice.
a couple now? Because they're in love now? Because they're the only two
Malice
people left
is
in the
their
movie?
couple name.
Oh, that would be cute.
Yeah,
Mallison.
Malice.
Because his last name
Mallison.
is Matthew Addison.
Oh, Mallison.
I don't know why I like that.
That could be your new drag name.
Mallison. I'm going to put it on the
Mallison.
list. I still haven't come up with the final one.
We'll figure it out. Don't worry. But they survive, and I'm just like, y'all better fucking hurry because we're getting that countdown on the wall of the
Whenever
little,
the door will
for
shut
the
them in.
doors, closing, and it's like, hurry!
They literally
go,
make
go,
it out
go,
with
go,
like a
go.
second. And they're not even running at that point. They're just kind of like, yeah, we're just going to go up these stairs.
And then they make it through the door of the house, like through the big door. But then I'm like, that house is probably rigged too. Like, y'all need to get out of there. And then all of a sudden, the cop Matt starts going like, that. Did you hear that little sneeze?
No, was that a cat?
Yeah, it was a cat.
Aw, I wish I would have heard it. No.
Oh. But Matt starts jerking around, and we see that he is probably changing.
He's
Um,
transmutating.
yep. And then people in hazmat suits all of a sudden come in. They take them, and then we hear her screaming, "Matt, Matt!"
Ah, sorry.
Exactly.
Not like that,
And
but almost. And yeah, poor Matt is getting whisked away by people in white lab coats, and she's like, "Don't take him!" And like, not like she obviously has really badass skills, but is not fighting these people off really that much. And yeah, they
yeah,
end up
maybe they've
getting
got pretty badass skills themselves.
maybe because she ends up he ends up getting taken away, and they're like, "Oh, he's mutating. Get him into the Nemesis program, and then put her in quarantine." So
Take her to the
and then
Raccoon City facility
and
or
they're talking about
hospital.
how they're going to reopen the hive because they want to figure out what's going on. And then they end up we have Alice waking up in a very white room. She has um
IVs attached to her whole body, even in her head.
and no gown, hospital gown on, but like a like pieces of paper.
Yeah, like the stuff that they put over you at the dentist,
Yeah,
that paper, it's
very much
that.
that.
Honestly, this would make a sick Halloween costume.
Cha,
Both of her outfits.
her cooter was out
Yeah, it was.
because when she
Um,
fell off that table, it was like I was like
whenever
even like
she's yeah,
on the
and
floor,
falling
and it's
and
like, and I was like,
crawling under the table. Yeah.
I was even like, whoa! If I was like a 10-year-old boy, I'd be like, pause, like adjust the brightness,
Let me
like
look.
let me look at a
Yeah.
cooter. Yeah, is
Yeah.
that bad? Is that offensive? I'm calling it cooter.
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm so
I don't know.
sorry if that offends
Of the
anybody out
JJ.
there. A vagina. Um,
I had a friend once whose dog was named Cooter.
aw, that's cute. After a vagina or like
Yeah,
cooties.
I don't know, but I just remember all of us would make so much fun of her because her dog was called Cooter.
Cooter, come here, Cooter. It's a cute
Cooter,
name. It's a
get
cute
over
name.
here, Cooter.
And so then, yeah, we have her pulling the crap out of those IVs out of her body and kind of falling, slinking out, and then going to what is obviously a double-sided mirror, right? And yeah, she's
Yeah,
being watched. And she's like yelling for people to let her out, but nobody's letting her out. And we see one person kind of walk by in the background, and it's the one person walking by, and they're like, like scary ass music.
yeah. And
And
then
I was like, what the fuck?
you hear it gurgling too. You hear it going like,
And
and so you can assume that that guard person was a zombie. Um,
yeah, yep.
and
And
honestly, I thought it would have been good if they had ended it right there.
same. But then they decide to
Let
have
her
her
get out.
break out of the said room very easily, and then walk outside of the hospital, and we come to find out that, well, it looks like we don't know one for how long she was knocked out, and that the rest of the world has succumbed to the virus, or at least Raccoon City.
At least Raccoon City, yep. And
Hmm.
so it's gotten unleashed on the town, at least. Who knows how far it's spread. And we get her finding a shotgun. She cocks the gun, and then we pan out on the absolute pandemonium that is the streets. And
Hmm.
then we roll credits.
The end. That's it, and that is 2002's Resident Evil.
Resident
Um,
Evil. What are your booze
I would give
ratings?
it a 2.5.
2.5. Man, I thought you really liked this movie.
No, it was no, I solely because I understand that it's not a good movie. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In essence of like it didn't really hold up too well in special effects with like the CGI and all that. The zombies, I mean, honest, is still kind of were good. They were chill.
Yeah. I thought the
The
zombies looked
zombie
pretty
dogs
convincing.
were really cool, but that's because we also learned that they were like not special effects. No, they are special effects and not like CGI like type of special
CGI.
effects, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're practical effects. That's what I meant to say.
Practical.
And then yeah, I mean, yeah, just 2.5. I mean, because honestly, like I wouldn't watch this and then feel like, you know what, I deeply want to invest in watching the rest of these
The
films.
rest of this, okay, that's fair.
Yeah, yeah. I there's yeah. I went ahead and did like a little deep dive and watched like a 1 hour video that was like recapping all of them.
Mm,
And yeah, cannot say that I would have wanted to spend an hour and or almost 2 hours on each one of those individually. But yeah, no, it was okay though. Like in terms of like it was action packed and I like action and there was, I think this is the one time that I actually am okay with guns and I like guns because with zombies it's like, well, they are already dead. So yeah, let's just guns all the way, right?
let's shoot them.
Those
Yeah.
those are very helpful. Um, I think you know what? It's very interesting, and I just feel like I want to know more, I guess, like about like the T virus and like kind of more into like that kind of situation. And watching like the recap of all the other movies, apparently, until like the last one, there's not really much that delves into necessarily like the history, like what Umbrella Corp is up to. It's just mainly like Alice and like her friends basically versus zombies, which is the game, so that makes sense. But yeah, at 2.5 because that's just I don't know. I don't necessarily have like anything that stood out about it, and I don't necessarily have anything where I was like, well, this is super, super bad, but it's a watchable movie, and I will say it's very fun. It's fun. I like that. Oh, and you know what? I will say there were a few
Yeah.
times that the jump scares with the zombies, they did get me. They got me.
Mm-hmm.
There was a few jump scares in here where I was like, ah, yeah.
It actually got you. That's cool.
I'm trying to think if there was a moment. I feel like there was a moment where I did genuinely feel a little anxiety. And I want to say that it was the moment when they were in the utility tunnel, and they were trying to get onto the pipes.
Oh yeah. That
And I
part
was
was
like,
very,
it's
because I was like,
stressful.
how are they all gonna make it?
Yeah.
I was like, someone's gonna have to die
Yeah, of
in that
course.
moment. And no one did die. So I was really shocked
Yeah.
because I totally thought someone was like gonna die for sure.
You know what? I'm so sorry. I'm gonna bump it up to a 3 because now that I'm talking about it, you know what? I will say I really did enjoy that, like how Liz was kind of like a little bit introduced at the beginning, or not Liz, Lisa, and then we kind of got to find out more on that later, and then how she was tied into Matt. It's a 3. It's a 3 for me. I'm done.
Okay. 3 is where I stand too. Mainly because I thought this is a very watchable movie. It's super easy to get through. Um, it is very action packed, like you said. It doesn't really lull at any point. Like all the extra things, it does take like almost 50 minutes in to get to the zombie part, like we talked about. Unlike Train to Busan, whenever there's zombies, like basically in the first 20
Like 15 to
minutes.
20. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it does have a lot of buildup, but still, there's so much action that's happening in general and like skulking around and like, dun, 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 like going on
Mhm.
that you're like, okay, I'm invested.
Yeah.
So I thought that was good. I thought all the acting was pretty fair. Um, there wasn't anyone that I was, well,
Who?
Rain was a little over the top sometimes in her delivery of like trying to be a badass.
Yeah.
While like Mila's delivery was just like, I am a badass.
I
She
see what
didn't
you
need
mean.
to say all of those. And that could be not Michelle Rodriguez's fault. It could be the
It's just the
writing's
writing.
fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more the writing of
I
her
totally agree with
character.
that. They try to give her like a lot of one-liners and like
Yeah.
punchlines. Yeah.
Yeah, like the blow me and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. Um, so
I'm not
maybe the
dead yet.
writing, yeah, the writing maybe wasn't my favorite, and that could be also in part due to the video game. It could be that's how Michelle, because that does sound like very video game one-liners.
Yeah, it's true.
So that could have been because of Michelle's
character from the
like
game or something.
character and like in the video game, yeah, and not
Yeah.
necessarily her fault. Um, but yeah, I'd say an overall 3 for me, just because it very, very middle of the road. It was an enjoyable film, like easy to watch. I would honestly probably watch it again. Like I wouldn't mind just throwing it on and having it in the background or something.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that it is, I don't know how it stood up in regards to the video game. Like I don't know if that's what
Mhm.
made it such a poor movie on in like terms of Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that, because it got like a
Yeah.
36%. Um, I don't know if because it was so close to the video game that maybe people were like, this doesn't translate well to real life. And so therefore this is not a believable movie. Or maybe it strayed so far, just like Percy Jackson, and it's a terrible rendition of what
Somewhere
was
Percy
originally
Jackson,
written.
somewhere Percy Jackson creators are like, now what did we do? To, like we were just now, what did we do to get our name thrown in here?
The Percy Jackson movies were terrible in comparison to the books.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a solid 3 for me.
I never read the Percy Jackson books, and I like Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. That's all I have to say.
Oh, yeah, if you watch the movie by itself without the concept of the books, I think it is a good movie.
But I
But
totally
when
understand.
you have read the books, it's like, "Oh, no."
Yeah, I
Yeah.
get it. Nothing can ever live up to a book, you know.
No, yeah, there's always gonna be something, except for Holes.
Unless
Holes
it's
did a really good job of
mm,
like, the movie did a really fantastic job of, like, holding and staying true to the book,
I
while
everybody
also
says
delivering
that.
lots of likable characters. Yeah,
You know what?
I really loved Holes as a book, and I love the movie.
I feel that way about the Passion of the Christ. I feel like it really stayed true to the book. The books of John, Jacob, Peter, Michael Schmidt. No, I'm just kidding.
John oh,
uh,
I'm sorry, Suki. I just kicked Suki.
uh, how
Sorry,
do
we're
we feel
boys.
since we are talking about zombies, right? And zombies, how do we feel about these zombies? These were like, I feel like these aren't necessarily fast zombies, but they weren't like slow zombies either, like medium zombies,
Yeah,
right?
they were medium zombies. They were especially resilient zombies,
That's
um,
true. I will
which is
say
what
that.
I think made them so terrifying.
You know what? Because like Walking Dead zombies, while they are slow, I feel like also too, they are also more like they rip apart easier, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Where
these
these
ones
were
were
very
like
sturdy. You're right. Yeah.
yeah, and they're like, "I get knocked down and I get up again. You know, I never
Even
gonna
when
hit
they're
you
shot in the
down."
kneecaps.
Yep,
Yeah.
they
But
get right back
yeah.
up.
I liked their makeup. I thought that for it for it being all, obviously Resident Evil, right? I guess for some reason I felt like I remembered more zombies because I know I've seen this kind of ish before,
Mm,
but I feel like I remembered more zombie focus. And then also I remembered the monster thing, but I didn't remember the monster also then being like the big bad. You would think it would be like some sort of super zombie, but it wasn't.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
But
mean, they were
I'm
technically
not
a super zombie. They were a mutated form of the T virus.
it's true. So but then when you get bit by it, you don't turn into a zombie, you turn into one of those.
Yeah.
But I'm not it's neither here nor there because it was still it's a pretty cool monster. Venom was cool in his cameo here. Um
Yeah. Um, are you ready for some fun facts?
yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Michelle Rodriguez had informed her agent that if anyone ever wrote a script about Resident Evil, that she wanted to be a part of it. So her agent duly put her in contact with Paul W.S. Anderson when his screenplay was bought, not brought.
Cool. So she was already wanting to be a part of it before. That's cool.
Yeah. One of the most popular scenes in the film, when Alice runs up the wall and flings a roundhouse kick to a zombie dog in the head, took 3 months of training for Milla.
Oh, that's crazy. She did that for real.
Yep,
That's pretty
that's
badass.
that is super cool.
I can't even do a
Um,
cartwheel.
Going off of that, Mila did all of her own stunts except the pipe jump in the sewer scene. a stunt double was used because her agent thought she would get strangled by the hanging wires.
Mm.
Um, and then all the minor cuts and bruises on Milla's character are real. No makeup was applied.
Dang, she was doing all that crap for real. And then her agent was like, "No,
Yep.
honey, you cannot die because I gotta get 15%. I gotta make more
I
money off
get
you."
more money off you. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. But that's all the fun facts I have.
that's some pretty cool fun facts. I'm really blown away by Mila. She
Yeah,
seems like a pretty badass person in real life, I guess, too.
I'm glad they chose her to play
Yeah,
Alice
yeah, because it's very much
and
like
Alice living throughout all the subsequent films.
I don't know, like who else is something that you're like, oh, it's very much like she embodied that role very well, where it's like I couldn't see anybody else doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like James
Mhm.
McAvoy in Split.
Yeah, yeah, very much that. Or Aslan from the Chronicles of Narnia. I'm sorry.
The CGI lion.
Or Aslan. Narnia. But yeah, I guess do you have anything else to add?
Um,
We were gonna try to do 28 days, but it's nowhere to stream, you guys. So if you were
so you
interested
got
or
this instead. Sorry.
happy for that, sorry. We could do so they have
Couldn't
28
even
weeks
rent it
later.
on
Mm.
Amazon Prime, which is wild.
They have the sequel, but it would be, I feel like, kind of pointless to do the sequel without doing the first one. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, I guess we're gonna figure it out. But until then, we are being produced and happily recorded by the lovely Rogue Media Network Studios.
that's right. They always take great care of us.
You can listen to our podcast and a slew of other podcasts on their website, which is roguemedianetwork.com.
And then if you want to listen to us or any of those other amazing podcasts, you can find us on all the major podcasting platforms. The biggest two would be,
Apple.
and also Spotify.
And
Is that the one that repeats what you do?
it does, yeah. I
Oh,
have it off now,
and
otherwise it would be very loud.
yeah. But wherever you do listen, don't forget to.
Rate, review, like, and subscribe.
Wow, that was weird sounding.
Thought about doing something a little different this time.
I liked it. It
Yeah.
sounded like you had practical effects or special effects applied to your voice.
I did. They were
Like
put
a
there by
little
a
voice
doctor.
changer.
Yeah, I squeeze my balls whenever I want it to be activated.
That would be so silly. But yes, and if you want to reach out to us, let us know your thoughts on Resident Evil, the Resident Evil series. If you think we should give the rest of the Resident Evil series a chance,
Yeah.
you can do so by reaching out to us on our one social media platform, which is Instagram, and that is at.
That's at Boobays Podcast, and that's at BOOBAES, because we're your Boo Bays, not your Boo Babes.
That's right. And what are we watching next?
We honestly, it's gonna be we got another zombie in us, another zombie flick, but I don't know because I don't know if it's gonna be the Night of the Living Dead because we might revisit that later. But there are some
Could be
other
Pet
options. Like
Cemetery.
I was about to say, it could be Pet Cemetery. There's 30
Yay.
Days of Night. There's a few options, but totally we could do Pet Cemetery. Zombie Cat.
Yeah, Zombie Cat. That sounds so fun. I love Pet Cemetery was the first Stephen King novel I ever read.
Okay, cute. So, and we will be covering the 1980. I believe it's 84, but the 80s version.
Yeah, the original OG.
Yeah, OG. But until next time.
Until next time, you guys.
Bye,
Bays.
Bays.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.